here we are. Fun Friday, Friday fun. And I was talking yesterday about the trickster and trickster medicine. And I did mention a couple of them. One I didn't mention, though, decided to tap me on the shoulder, particularly this morning, and say, you promised somebody that you would tell them that story. My story. Don't you think it's time that you did? So here it is. In a time before time, when all was still magical, and all the creatures of the forest and the plains and the deserts and the seas could speak, we were still wondering who we were and how things would work. The great moon goddess decided that she was going to gift humanity with immortality. But who would she use as messenger? She looked around. No, not them. No, not her. Oh no, perhaps not him. Oh wait, who is that? She espied a little beast running around, being mischievous, but understanding that they crossed paths with humans quite a lot. So she called upon Hare to come to her. Now, as you know, Hare has some pretty strong legs on him. And so he took a leap. It was a little bit of a leap of faith, yes, but he leapt for his life because he wanted to see what was on the moon. He wanted to speak to the goddess. He wanted that pride, that honour, to be the one who could say, well, I was speaking to the goddess and she gave me this to tell you, because he had an inkling, because as you know, hares are very perceptive. And the inkling was that the goddess was going to tell him something very important. He was not wrong. He got to the moon and the goddess was sat on her throne there. Well, Hare, she said, I have a message for you, and you have to deliver this message to man on my behalf. Oh yes, goddess, he said, his paws together, and waited. I am going to gift man immortality. I am going to tell him that as I rise and fall, so shall he fall and rise again. And he will be immortal. He will also have these, and she handed him some objects, kind of round but not round, longer than round. She said, those are eggs. Within those eggs is the potential for the world to understand and to grow and to become. So Hare was very busy juggling these eggs and trying to keep the message in his head all together. As you fall, you shall rise. As you rise, you shall fall. As you... Oh, what was it? Why was it? Have you got all that, Hare? Yes. Oh, yes, I've got it. She said, then go. So Hare leapt down, and as he leapt down, the wind had started to play in his ears. Now, I don't know if you know what it's like to have the wind in your ears, but watch your cat or your dog when it's windy, and watch them as the wind plays in their ears, and even ourselves. Our ears might not be quite as long as Hare's, but when there's a wind, it tends to blow the cobwebs away. Unfortunately, for Hare, it scattered his thoughts, and they'd already started to mix before the goddess had even finished what she was going to say. So unfortunately, when he got to the ground and had picked up the eggs that he dropped, fortunately not breaking any of them, he trundled them along and discovered that this was such a thing to do to a hare, to make him carry these eggs. What's going on? But he carried them, he did. And he got to the village elder, the first village elder that he was to see. And he said, "The moon goddess has sent me. I have to give you this. I have to give you this because you have potential. And I have to give you the message that you're going to die. All of you will die, but you have potential." This did not go down very well. What do you mean, potential? What is this? What are these? What does this mean? Oh, well, the moon goddess told me that she would rise and you would die. Or she would die and you would rise. But you have potential. I have to go because I have 2 other villages to talk to. And as you can imagine, by the time he had gone round the villages, there was a great confusion over what was going to happen between life, death and potential. And what potential actually was. Or could be. Because that hadn't been explained. After his last message, because it was 3 different tribes, 3 different peoples he had been given this gift to. And these different peoples stretched over the world in their own ways. The moon goddess called him back. "Hare, come tell me, what was it that you saw when you gave the message of immortality?" Oh. Well, that's not quite how it went. And he proceeded to tell her what it was that he had told the bushman. "You did what?" And she picked up her staff and she whacked him so hard that he split his lip. And from that day to this, all of Hare's family and his cousins' lips are split. And man has no idea of his immortality, but he has potential. It's an interesting story and it has so many different variations. But it's a great way to understand how metaphor can carry the message through without the dull fact getting in the way. We do die. The moon goddess was trying to tell Hare, to tell us, that as she waxes and wanes, so shall we. And we have waxed and we have waned the ages of mankind and womankind and self-kind. And we're getting to a point now where we really should recognise that it's not just about the one, it's about everything. Everything is a cycle. There are seasons. And that's the way that life is. Things die off in the winter and they start growing again in the spring. Not necessarily the same thing, but a fair facsimile of, from the original. The egg of potential. Well, think about it. When you look at an egg, it's full of potential. In Shakespeare, and it may well be Romeo and Juliet, but don't quote me on that. Maybe it's not. But there's a thing that he writes about the egg being full of meat and promise. And that is actually true. Everything comes from a seed, an egg, a potential. And we all have a potential for being. We all have a potential for understanding. And that potential is immortal. It goes beyond us. It's actually just as good a gift as that of immortality itself. Because with the egg, we have to think about what it is that we are going to give the earth. What we're going to give each other, what we're going to gift to ourselves. What is our potential? And how will we realise that? Are we going to be like Hare, and as soon as the wind gets into our ears, just forget everything, become harebrained? Or are we going to actually be like the trickster part of Hare and be cunning, which actually comes from the word kenning, which is Scottish for to know. It's actually Old English, I think, Old Anglo-Saxon. But in some parts of Scotland, we still say "do you ken?" Do you know? And through the way of being used and pronunciation, it became cunning. And the best messenger for that, of course, is fox. However, just for a giggle today, why don't you look up some of the stories about how the hare lost his lip and gained a split? And you'll see, if you are old enough particularly to remember Brer Rabbit and the Tales of Uncle Remus, you'll see how stories get changed and have the potential to become other stories. Have a great weekend. Enjoy yourselves. Remember, every minute is an egg of potential. It's up to you how you use it. Take care.